So, the last few weeks of FACEIT have been pretty rough. Wins weren't coming through consistently, solo queues felt chaotic, and progress felt a little bit slower than I really thought it should have been. Then out of nowhere, something kind of changed. This is episode 10 of Road to FACEIT, and it feels like the right time for a proper progress update. For a while, I felt like I was stuck in a rut. I wasn't losing every game, but also wasn't building much in the way of momentum. Wins were kinda scattered, confidence wasn't so strong, and solo queue made it hard to feel in control of outcomes. And honestly, that stretch was more frustrating than losing outright. During that period, it wasn't that I suddenly forgot how to play or something. The bigger issue was more the environment to me. Solo queuing at a lower elo is pretty unpredictable. Communication varies massively, skill levels are pretty inconsistent, and every game feels like it requires a completely different approach. Some matches are structured and calm, others are silent, chaotic, or decided very early. And when you're trying to improve consistency, that lack of stability makes things difficult. This resulted in a bit of a plateau for me. I couldn't build a solid run of wins, and it meant that I would kind of sit at around the same level, around high level 3 to level 4. Sometimes losing elo not entirely through my own fault, and other times just through where my mental was at that particular moment. What really stood out to me during this stretch was the mental load. In solo queue, you often end up being the communicator, the stabiliser, and the decision maker, sometimes all at once. You're constantly adapting to teammates, playstyles, and expectations, and over time it wears you down a bit. It's easy to start forcing plays, over-peaking, or trying to do too much, not because it's the right decision, but because you want to break the cycle. And I think it's fair to say that it's especially difficult for somebody who's still trying to learn as much as possible and take in everything that the game has to offer. I've been away for quite a long time, so I am trying to play a bit of catch up. Eventually I realised I couldn't control the environment, but I could control how I responded to it. So I simplified my game. I focused more on communication, even if it wasn't always reciprocated. I played for impact rather than stats. Most importantly, I stopped trying to force momentum and started focusing on consistency, round by round, decision by decision. I've kind of come to terms with the fact that until I get to a pretty decent elo, I'm not going to find consistent teammates and consistent, approaches to playing the game. So it's going to happen. I'm going to have dips, but all we can do is just keep working to reduce those as much as possible. After that decidedly unfun stretch, the results finally followed. I went on an 11-game win streak and reached FACEIT Level 5. The run wasn't about suddenly playing perfectly, it was about playing calmer, making fewer false decisions and accepting the chaos of solo queue instead of fighting it. The streak wasn't the goal, it was a byproduct of better habits. I also took into account the advice from some of the guys in our community. They've been offering some really solid advice for me, and it's really helping to improve. They pointed out that quite often you kind of need to play for yourself and make sure that you can get some impact while still trying to balance off, working as a team member, even if the other guys that are in your solo queue probably aren't that worried about doing the same. This meant that I had a few set plays that I would do that were pretty effective, and it's allowed me to have some impact in the round, and then we can kind of just pick up the pieces from there on. One thing that also helped me was playing with some people that are just flat out better than me. It means that they can control some of the round, and I can just focus on perfecting those bits and pieces that I know I can do, and then applying those to games where I'm not playing with them and trying to manage a solo queue game. That streak doesn't mean that the grind's over, and it doesn't mean every session will feel like that. Solo queue is still inconsistent. Wins won't always stack, but my perspective has kind of changed. I'm trying to measure progress by how stable my decision making is, how composed I stay under pressure, and how well I adapt when games aren't ideal. The goal isn't to win every match, the goal is to be the same player regardless of the circumstances. Again, something that's come up in the community is that it's so easy to get tilted when people on your team aren't doing what you think they should be, or they're making poor decisions, or throwing away rounds. It's really easy to get angry about that. That's just human nature. But it's important to focus on the fact that you can't control that, and you just need to let it slide, and maybe offer advice where you can, but also be honest with yourself and know that you're probably not going to get that taken in the best light. So it's just the way it is. Reaching level 5 feels good, but more importantly it feels earned. The difficult stretch before was part of the process. It wasn't a setback. Solo queue is still exposing weaknesses, and I'm still working through them. That's exactly what this series is about. So let me know in the comments, how do you handle solo queue when progress feels slow? And at what point did FACEIT start feeling genuinely difficult for you? If you've made it to the end of the video, then thanks so much for staying. To show my appreciation, I'd like to give something back if I can. In the description, I've hidden a code for refrag for a week, so make sure you go and check that out. Otherwise, join the Discord and ping me, and hopefully we can sort you out with one from there. They are limited, but I do get a new one every month, so just drop me a message and we'll try and sort you out.